drag queen, well perhaps you're gay. Is there a point to all these fancy clothes? With all these buckles from your head down to your toes? It's very simple, but I'm just another girl. It's not so easy, but I'm giving it a whirl. Is there something that you're trying to prove? With all the makeup and the way you move, are you looking for some sympathy? No, I'm trying to be the best girl I can be. It's very simple, but I'm just another girl. It's not so easy, but I'm giving it a whirl. Like my martinis dry, cosmos I won't deny. Smoke those long cigarettes. Thank God I'm not dead yet. Done all these crazy things, short of a wedding ring. Just
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Calista Solon, and you're watching NLC Trans. And we're back after, 13 weeks of being away. Actually, we were not really gone. We were on the other channel. But anyway, I'm here tonight with my dear friends and co-hosts, Tara Alexander, Stacy Dozier, and Renee Benoit. And hopefully you guys have missed us. But I know we were doing tape shows for a while, and we're trying to do tape shows, and we wound up running reruns a little bit. Sorry about that. But we ran into some snags. Like last week, the studio closed early, and we couldn't get in with the show. And you know, it's hard. We've been so busy with the holidays. And by the way, happy holidays to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, it's a wonderful new year. Today is today, in fact, is Inauguration Day. Yes. So that was kind of cool. So we have a new governor. But anyway, it's really good to be back, and so hopefully we can have some fun, and hopefully we won't get kicked off the air again. That was sort of my fault.
Bumped off the air?
Well, you know, you know how my memory is.
Get in the way.
Well, yeah, but you know what? It's not fair.
I can pretty much guarantee that this January we won't be kayaking.
We won't be, no. Well, I wouldn't mind. But no, you know how my memory is. I don't remember anything, and in fact, I was thinking...
Which makes it my fault for having forgotten.
While we were kayaking, I was thinking, of course, gee, we got to figure out when the producers' meeting is. And it was, of course, as I speak.
But anyway, as you were going down the themes.
Yeah, we could just paddle down the river to the meeting, I suppose. But well, no, maybe not. Probably would have missed it anyway. But anyway, so we're not going to try to not let that happen again. But anyway, so we're back, and we're gonna have some fun tonight. And it's really good to be back live again. And they got new lights in the studio. It's really cool. But I do love the live shows. It's so nice to be here, and we just sort of figured we'd all come on tonight and sort of get back into the swing of this. And we're going to have guests on. In fact, I think we're going to have a fairly full schedule coming up. But we have somebody coming on in 2 weeks on the 19th, and I know there are some others that are sort of looking to come on. So
we'll be having Diana back.
And we're definitely going to get Diana back. Yes.
She's I think looking at March. Yeah,
and clearly one of the things we probably should talk about tonight a little bit is the legislation, and we're probably going to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do, and sort of just for those people, for those of you out there that sort of maybe are new to us, because we've been away a little bit, so we'll probably talk about that a little bit. And in fact we have a B-roll which will, if we have time, we may run. We may not, but we'll see how that plays out. And anyway, it was so nice to see Bobby DeLello. For those of you that tuned into the show before us, Street Talk, Bobby DeLello was on, and I haven't seen Bobby in a while. And I hope he isn't going home to a girlfriend or something, because I think I got lipstick on his neck. Sorry, Bobby. but he's a great guy, and it was so nice to see him again. And Father was here. We saw Father too. So
yeah, it's so wonderful to see both of them.
Yeah. So that was cool. you know, even though I kind of lost some of my lipstick, but anyway.
We can pause the show if we need to put it back on.
No, it's okay.
I just 20 minutes worth of B-roll we can go to if you need the time.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. I'm fine. Anyway, silliness aside, it's going to be a good year. The holiday was wonderful, although still haven't seen my grandson. You know,
They do get hectic.
Yeah, it was crazy. My grandson's schedule got all screwed up, and I didn't get to see him yet. Hopefully, we're going to see him this week, the end of this
Saturday.
week, and yeah, Saturday, and so that's going to be nice. But it was kind of messed up. We had a storm on Christmas, and we didn't get to see my grandson, and it was just, that was too bad. But anyway, I got. I don't know how you guys did, but I got opera tickets for Christmas. I got tickets to Gaetano Donizetti's Lucia de Lammermoor, which is going to be at the Guard. That's based on The Bride of Lammermoor by Scott, and so I'm really excited about that.
It was really good to you.
Yeah, I got opera tickets. It's like, wow, that is so cool. Nobody's ever given me opera tickets before. God knows I've asked for it. All right, maybe I haven't too much, but I asked for, okay, we have a phone call, I know.
We have a phone call, I know. Please
She
be
sees me
patient. She's
pointing
talking.
under the table.
All right, we're going to take this call.
Please be patient. She's starting a tangent.
Okay, all right. Good evening, NLC Trans, you're on the air.
Yes, I just would like to know how does a person get to? I'm new to the New London area, and I'm interested, in the lifestyle and stuff, and I'd like to know how I get to meet, folk around this way without being, without getting too much, attention drawn to myself,
Sure. Okay. Are you sort of part of the community? Are you?
No, I'm what you call a straight guy who's curious.
Oh, cool. Well, that's a cool thing. That's nothing wrong with that. So you want?
I've had this feelings for a long time, and I'm just really just want to know where to go and meet folk.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, southeastern Connecticut has a pretty warm community. New London, in particular, there's two really good places right sort of on Bank Street and Tilly Street. There's O'Neill's Brass Rail on Bank Street and Frank's Place, which is on the corner of Bank and Tilly. And
they're in walking distance of each other.
they're within walking distance of each other. If you know where Bank Street is, or the firehouse downtown, they're GLBT friendly places. O'Neill's is almost always flying their rainbow flag out, and usually on the weekends they have big party celebrations where you can go and have a lot of fun and meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. New London's a great place. You're going to love it.
You'd probably run into people on a Thursday, Friday night, or a weekend in New London, regardless of where you go. Be it the hygienic or even some of the bean and leaf, or there is a lot of community in New London.
There's a great community in this whole, I think, corner of the state, really.
Yeah, there really is.
Okay. I just want to say thank you, and you girls have a good night, okay?
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Taking my call.
Thank you for
Stay
calling.
happy now, okay?
You
Okay. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
That's nice. That's so nice. Anyway, okay. So Christmas. All right, so I got opera tickets.
You got opera tickets.
I'm excited about that. That's so cool. I like opera. I'm sorry.
Someone must have known that.
Somebody must have known that. I wonder who that could have been.
Let's take an educated guess.
Anyway, all right. So
we haven't seen her grandson yet, so.
Yeah, he's not going to, believe me, my grandson will not give me opera tickets. It just won't happen. He would not be caught dead buying opera tickets. He is. Well, you know, Andrew.
I know.
He's a sweetheart. My grandson's adorable, but, well, he's 14 now, and did I admit that?
He's less than half an inch shorter than you.
Yeah, and much bigger than me. He's just a
And
big
if
kid.
he chose to play football.
Yes, yeah, he's built for football. He hasn't had a real interest in it, and which is probably okay because
Built
honestly,
for football and a brain for science.
brain for science. Yeah, honestly, I would be a little concerned about kids get injured playing football. And he certainly he has the body for it, and he can throw a ball. So, but that's his choice. If he wants to play football, he can. But yes. Anyway, so my grandson, he's a really good kid, but he's 14, and something like buying opera tickets would never in a million years cross his mind. He's a boy. It's
a process of elimination.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll probably see Andrew this weekend, which will be great. And in fact, hi Andrew. Andrew watches the show. He won't see it immediately, but
we won't post it until Sunday.
He watches this online. So he does. He actually watches our show, which is so cute.
Well, if we post it Friday night, we're coming.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll be seeing Andrew. But it's cool. That's right. He's having computer problems. He wants you to come fix his computer, I think. But anyway, so yeah, sometimes you actually get what you want. I got opera tickets, so I'm happy. Now that I've gone on and on and on about that. I once... I'm terrible. I'm sorry, folks. I'm just going to talk
While you're at it, do you want to
to
plug the Guard?
Yes, the opera is going to be at the Guard, which is very cool. It's in New London. It's our own theater here, which is really a cool thing. We have this wonderful theater right here in New London.
And they've recently renovated the Oasis Room, which is where the pre-opera dinner is.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm excited about this. I really am. I once asked for a unicycle for Christmas. You people don't want to know this, I know. But
well, I know you have one.
I do have one. Years and years ago, I was asked, "What do you want for Christmas?" "I want a unicycle." No. Didn't get one. The next year, "What do you want?" "I want a unicycle." This went on for 10 years. And it's like, no, seriously, I really actually do want I finally got one. And I didn't kill myself, and yes, I can ride it.
While playing the accordion?
No, but I juggle.
Someone would have to give me a free dental work, too.
Anyway, unicycles are fun.
Cosmetic dentistry is not cheap.
And they're good exercise, too, because you can never stop riding them. You have to keep riding. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent about unicycles.
You're really excited to be back live on the air.
I love the live show.
Finally, somebody listened to you.
I love the live show, yeah. I do. I love doing the live show. It's cool. And it just works for us really well, I think. And because then we have to actually do it. If we're trying to do a show at home is tough because there's a lot more work involved in prepping it and everything.
Right. Sitting down and shooting the segments, but then later on you have to go splice it together.
All the editing and stuff, takes time.
2 or 3 hours to set up and shoot and take down, and then a couple of hours to break it down to a 52-minute show, opening and closing and subtitles.
Yeah. And sometimes you screw up and record shows and have the...
an hour and 3 minutes of black.
Right, have the recorder set to the wrong input and not get anything. But...
Which show did that?
I don't know.
Or don't have the right audio cable plugged in.
It wasn't the Halloween show.
No, it wasn't the Halloween show. But anyway, we managed to sort of fix
Let's
that.
just say filming with 2 cameras has been a godsend.
Yes. So the live show is really good. And of course, my computer crashed, and I lost my editor, and I'm still working on putting the edit. It takes time to get all that stuff set up again, and so I was without an video editor for a while on time, and I've been so short of time lately. It's been insane. So anyway, yeah. So Happy New Year, and we probably should talk about New Year's resolutions too. But I should probably shut up.
That never works. New Year
It works
resolutions.
for me.
It's good for a couple of months, and then it's right back to the same old.
If that's the case, then I resolve to be poor.
I resolved to not swallow any more whole watermelons.
Okay.
That's an easy one.
I resolve to live in the year 2011.
Yeah. I have my resolutions. I need to lose some weight and get some more exercise. I have
Because your bones don't show through yet.
Stop it. But with the cold weather, I don't get as much exercise. I love to walk and get out and stuff, and with the cold weather, I don't do as much. So I've been trying to unbury my exercise bike so I can. And I pretty much managed to do that. So I'll be able to start riding the exercise. I'm gonna do some work on that. I need to lose some weight and get into shape.
I generally get a fair amount of exercise if we get a harsh winter. Summer's had
shoveling.
with the snow.
Yeah.
So you're counting on the snow
yeah.
for the bikini weather.
Well, I was just going to mention the Callie. I mean, she ought to be prepping for her garden.
Well, I'm prepping for the garden.
It's how many more days before?
Yeah, no,
No, seriously. She's going to start seeds in a few weeks.
probably in a month. Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
almost ready to. Well, a month and a half. I'll be starting seeds.
I mean, this past season you had an anonymous
Yeah,
garden.
I
We're going to have to turn it over this year and see what it looks like.
did pretty well this past year. Grew a lot of tomatoes and peppers and made salsa.
Anybody want some pickles?
And sorry. Yes, I did make a lot of.
Bottomless pickles.
You did a ton of jars of.
Well,
The salsa's gone.
the
Oh,
salsa's
really?
The
gone.
salsa's gone.
Well, that's because
People love the pain.
Tara's coworkers like salsa.
My coworkers like the salsa.
Hey,
so.
have you got it down to a science on how hot you?
Oh, I'm still going for hotter. This last
Hotter?
batch I made was pretty hot.
She only had habaneros this year. She couldn't find any legitimate ghost pepper seeds.
Yeah, next year I'm going to go looking for
She wants
something
to go
real.
hotter.
My coworkers want her to go hotter.
It'll peel pain as it is.
Wow.
But yeah, so we had a bumper crop of cucumbers this year, so I made a lot of pickles. I'm sorry, I like
We
pickles.
gave away as many as we kept.
Yes, but anyway, so we're boring everybody out there with the stuff. I know. So what's going on? We need to talk about what's coming up. I know I had something with CT equality that's coming up, but I wanted to mention. But
Go for it.
But I also wanted to talk, I think we need to talk a bit about the upcoming legislation. We have a new governor as of today.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool. So we're hoping for a good year for the gender inclusive anti-discrimination bill.
Yep.
The best chance we've had ever, probably.
Yeah.
Well,
To date.
the trade-off for getting the Democratic governor, the Democrat governor, is he's going to be, his administration is likely going to be plucking people into the administration from the legislature who had been holding key positions.
Right, like Lawler and McDonald.
Like possibly Lawler and McDonald, So there's a good chance that there's going to be some new committee heads, there's going to be some new faces, where we've had really excellent support throughout the legislature. We just haven't necessarily had the support had the support at the Speaker of the House or the Governor's Mansion. We have the support there now, and it's gonna be a ground game again.
Yeah, if we can get the bill raised and get it through the
Yep.
House and the Senate, there is no doubt that our governor will sign it.
And it's been very popular. We've talked about it before. This, for anyone who's not familiar with it, this is a bill to add gender identity or expression to Connecticut's anti-discrimination laws. It's a question of fairness and equality for everyone in the state, so that you can't be kicked out of your apartment or denied employment or fired or rejected simply because of your gender identity or expression. And we do have a call.
We have a call. All right, we'll get back to this, and we need to talk a bit about that and why it's important for everybody. But right now, we actually have a phone call. Good evening, NLC Trans. You're on the air.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Good. Listen, I've called before, and I enjoy talking to you to be informed and knowledge about life and so many other things. But
Okay.
what I'd like to ask you tonight, if you don't mind, in a perfect world, you know, what would it be like for you and I? Me being a person married 44 years and very happily married, and love my wife dearly, and grandchildren. As I heard you spoke about grandchildren earlier, and
That's so nice.
kind and very nice.
Grandkids are great.
But yeah, how does it go if I knew grandchildren would be so good I wouldn't have the real thing, or I would have had them first.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. You know, I'm not totally out to lunch on the idea as to some of the things that you would like and some of the things that you stand for. But I don't know, for me and for the listening audience, what should be right? I mean, in your eyes, not mine, but in your eyes. And I'll hang up and let you talk about that. Okay?
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for the call.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow, that was very interesting. Not that a utopian society is what we all really want, but yeah, you know what we're looking for in the sort of the perfect world. If there could ever be a perfect world, I don't know, but I guess, you know, all I'm really looking for is sort of a sense of fairness and to be treated like everybody else. And you know, people are going to have their opinions, and people are going to differ, and that's fine. I sort of have this desire for a sort of basic sense of fairness from everybody, and
I would like not to be discriminated against on the basis of a birth defect.
Yeah, and just sort of not be prejudged, to be sort of looked at as a human being, and it's not just us that wants that. I mean, certainly there are a lot of people in the world that just want to be viewed as human beings and treated just like anybody else.
Right. And in Connecticut, I'll have to say that I really think that things are better for us than they are in a lot of places, and in my field. I mean, I haven't been discriminated against. I'm pretty lucky. My heart aches for those who aren't in this part of the country, or have endured a lot of discrimination, and that's happened here too.
Yes, and it does. It happens every day. But I don't know. I accept that. You know, it's easy enough to accept that some people maybe aren't really comfortable with this, and that's fine. I don't necessarily expect everybody to change their mind overnight.
Sure.
Just let us live our lives freely and openly as we choose.
Right. And to be treated just like everybody else.
So that when you're walking through the mall with your grandson, you don't get a slur flung at you from, from a couple of 20-somethings that should have more respect. So that you don't get fired from a job because you get a new boss and he's transphobic. You don't get kicked out of your apartment because your landlord finds out that you cross-dress on the weekends.
Yeah.
You know, there's some concrete examples of sort of the kind of, in a perfect world, it doesn't have to be a perfect world to get past some of those kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Right, and there are protections for some groups built into the Constitution against discrimination for asinine reasons. It's not unreasonable to expect that maybe we should get some similar protections.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and certainly it's not, you know, this bill, for example, adding gender identity and expression to the anti-discrimination bill. I think people sometimes think that that's strictly benefits the transgender community, and it really doesn't. It benefits, and you've talked at length about the reasons why that really has an effect on everybody. It isn't just people within our community that are affected by gender discrimination.
Yeah, well, and it gets confused sometimes when you're talking about like sex discrimination or gender discrimination and gender identity or gender expression categories. People can be discriminated against because they don't act or look enough like a man, or they don't dress or act enough like a woman, and these can be people that were born and genetically and are male, identify as male, have male chromosomes, et cetera, et cetera. But if you don't fit somebody's expectation of what a man looks like or acts like, or a woman looks like or acts like, you can face criticism, you can face harassment.
You can be arrested.
You can be arrested. There was the case a couple years ago of the woman that walked into the women's bathroom in Grand Central Terminal, and a cop dragged her out because the cop thought she was a guy, arrested her and took her to jail.
I think some of these people are literally bullied to death, and that sort of thing has to stop.
Yeah. The notion that you can get harassed in the workplace or in a public place, and not just verbal slurs, but physically harassed, physically assaulted, because you don't meet somebody's stereotype of what a guy should be or what a girl should be, it just isn't right. It's that sort of the bullying issue that we're trying to fight against.
Sure.
It's you know, you keep coming back to the same point. It's a question of fairness. It's a question of equality. It's a question of just being allowed to be a human being in the state of Connecticut, in the United States of America, and being treated as an equal member. You don't have to agree with me, you don't have to approve of me, but you really shouldn't be able to get away with damaging me.
Right.
You know, firing me because you don't approve of me. If I'm not doing my job well, fire me.
Yeah.
If I'm not meeting your dress code, you know, write me up, give me the reprimand.
Yeah.
But you don't get to fire me just because I'm trans.
Right, and it's interesting. I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but
Call to.
But you know, you say fire me if I'm not doing my job. It's not that difficult in a workplace to be put in a position, like in a position if you were trans, for instance, or another member of the LGBT community, to have your position undermined, to have on an almost subliminal level, have your position undermined to the point that you almost can't do your job, and then they fire you, and it's like, well, they weren't doing their job. Well, you know,
made it impossible to do.
You made it impossible to do for that person to do their job, so that then you and so
Exactly.
It's not even that clear always. It's not. I mean, we've seen this kind of stuff before. You know, you can. It's almost. I mean, I can speak from experience in that being a trans in the workplace, you have to really work extra hard to try to stay ahead of that kind of thing, which may or may not be going on.
It's almost impossible.
And that's one of the big reasons why passing legislation to add gender identity or expression to the anti-discrimination law is so important, because then employers around the state are all operating on the same guidelines, on the same standards. It's made clear in law.
Right.
We have one uniform policy that dictates fairness in the workplace.
Right.
And in all the other little categories that come into play in housing and accommodations.
Yes.
And such.
Credit, lending.
Credit, that's what that, yeah.
Yeah, it's all very important.
Can I get a mortgage?
I think we lost
no,
our-
you're trans.
I think we lost our
We lost
caller.
the call. I'm sorry. Whoever that was, please call back. We'll actually answer it this time. I'm sorry. Sometimes we get distracted. We were about to, honest. Anyway, so yes, please call back. But yeah, it can be very insidious, that kind of thing, and so it's yeah. You know, we've all sort of seen some of this stuff firsthand. How, you know, it doesn't take that much to put you in an uncomfortable position, and certainly in some cases it's very blatant.
Well, and especially if you have any kind of role of responsibility with people reporting to you, that somebody who reports to you who doesn't approve of you, doesn't like you for some reason, can really do a number on a job of making you look bad.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Especially if your upper management doesn't get involved either, if they're
Right.
not supporting that.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I mean, and so you sort of have to deal with that, and that's on top of the fact. I can speak from experience on something else, which is sort of speaks to a whole different set of problems, but we've sort of being you know, male to female transsexual, you know, and I'm not the only one that's noticed this, but having been put in that position where all of a sudden you've transitioned, and now people that listened to you before and respected your opinion, now you say, well, you know, I was in a position to have, you know, a bunch of people working under me and having to determine what they were going to be doing, what they were going to be working on and stuff, and this is what I want you to do. And that was fine until after my transition. And are you sure that's what you want me to do? Wouldn't you rather have me, you know? And it's funny how much the gender change, the role changed the way people looked at my authority. It was like where they accepted my authority before that, now it was questioned.
You've clearly taken out your brains and stuffed them into your bra.
Apparently.
Well, and it's interesting that, you know, there's sort of this I'd like to say untapped community of support for sort of, you know, the women's lib, women's rights, you know, anti-sex discrimination stuff, because you've got this group of folks, that ourselves included, that transition and step into those social pitfalls, into those social traps, where, you know, yeah, there really is a noticeable disrespect for women in the workplace, in the especially in technical areas.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because, you know, there was a time when back in the old days before I transitioned, where, you know what, I knew it existed. I always accepted that existed, but it was hard to quantify. And it was sort of one of those things where, okay, well, I know it's there, but I don't think it's, I never took it as seriously as I should have, and I realized that now.
Until it hit home.
And once experiencing it, it's like, wow, this is a lot more pervasive than I ever expected. It's, you know,
Well, and honestly, even in the humor, when I came out to some of my friends that I work with in the workplace, you know, from a couple of them, I remember getting the question, so are they going to cut your pay?
Yeah.
And it was meant as a joke, but it's like, that's one of the first things you thought of, is this acknowledgement that women earn less for the same job.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's the same person doing the same job.
Yeah.
They didn't, but...
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. I've told this story a million times, but when I told some of my friends at work, these were people that were actually not with our company. They were contractors who actually worked for the company that you're a contractor for. But one of my friends, a young woman who worked for them, who was an amusing person and a real nice person who I liked very much. When I told her that I was transitioning, she was kidding. She was kidding when she said this, but it was funny because she said to me, she said, "Why do you want to do that? They're going to treat you like a secretary and cut your pay." And I laughed, and she was right. It was like, oh God. I mean, she meant it as a joke, and I took it as a joke, and I laughed about it, but it really wasn't a joke. It really wasn't. And so anyway, enough of that. Same. But anyway, so the legislation really is very important, and And yes, we'd love to live in a perfect world or almost perfect world, but I accept that isn't going to happen. But
Connecticut's not a bad place. Connecticut is a very good place, and it's generally very supportive. It's just this sort of last little hurdle that we have to get past to codify for all the employers in all the commercial outlets and all the lenders and all the property owners around the state, that when they are dealing with people, you really have to deal with them on their skills, on their merits, on their credit score, on whether or not they're paying their bills, and what they look like really shouldn't come into play.
Right.
I mean, we have protections for race, religion, ethnicity. It's like you can't generally tell someone's religion when they walk through the front door, but we protect it anyway.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So we have a phone call. I don't know if this is our caller calling back, but if in any event, this time we're actually going to answer it. Good evening, NLC Trans. You're on the air.
Hi, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
How are you?
I was wondering if any of you have seen the ad that's been on TV lately about women are not worth less. It's a really good commercial, and it's like women holding up signs.
Right, it's about...
I'm not worthless.
Right, I've seen that. I saw it online.
Really?
It's about salary equality, and women are not worth less. Not worthless, and not worth less than a man. It's a really good commercial.
I haven't seen it. I want to see it.
And they have, there's some men on there
TV.
who will say, my sister is not worth less.
Yeah.
And it's just it's really nicely done.
Cool. I'll have to look for it.
Yeah.
We don't watch much TV, right? But.
Well, I've been living on TV lately. I'm still looking for work.
Are you?
Oh, sorry to
God.
hear.
Yeah.
I spent almost the entire day yesterday on the U.S. Naval site.
Did you?
Trying to get a government job. And
Wow.
there was an administrative assistant position that started at $47,000 and went to $127,000.
Nice. That's a nice
I want
position.
that job.
Yeah.
I'm worth it.
Wow.
Well, if you do get it, expect a 5% cut in the upcoming weeks.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd call and wish you all a Happy New Year.
Happy
New Year.
Live on the air.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see you sometime soon. You should come on the show.
Okay, anytime.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh. It's always nice to hear from Kate. Anyway.
Our friend Kate Raimundi.
Yes. Our Miss Kenosha.
Miss Kenosha.
She's a sweetheart. We love her very much. Anyway, yeah. So it is. It's important, and people tend to sort of look at this and say, well, you're already protected, and we've been talking about this within the community recently about how this all works, and there has been sort of this misconception that because of the CHRO ruling that we have these protections, and the fact of the matter is we really don't.
Right.
They really are sort of the protections they're just rulings. They're not really. There's no bite to them really.
The court ruling can be overturned.
Well, it's not even a court ruling. It's a commission ruling.
Okay.
And not all parts of, we found out, not all parts of the law are covered by the CHRO. The CHRO's authority over all parts of the law hasn't been established. And judges don't have to abide by the CHRO if they decide that they only take direction from the legislature who passes laws.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the law that says this, then it doesn't have to be true.
Right.
And it's really interesting when the politicians are telling you, you're all set, you're protected, and the lawyers are telling you, no, you're not.
Yeah. 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 That was interesting. We had the Transgender Day of Remembrance at the Capitol recently, and Representative Lawler was there speaking, and he was talking about that a bit, and it was very very interesting because we talked to some lawyers after that, and
you had talked to an employment lawyer before that too,
right? I've had I had an actual lawyer tell me that because we don't have told me flat out that because this was a lawyer that actually specialized in that kind of thing, who said that
labor issues.
Yeah, and he said that you know, without that actual
Without actual legislation.
without the legislation, without
Have
the
nothing to
gender
go on.
inclusive anti-discrimination legislation, people in our community are pretty much out of luck.
Yeah, the CHRO ruling from 2000 is nice, but it just gives you a sandy toehold to fight from.
Yeah.
And of course, for anybody that doesn't know, that's the Connecticut Human Rights Organization.
Connecticut Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities.
Okay.
Connecticut's CHRO.
CHRO.
Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities.
Yeah, acronyms. Well, it's not really an acronym, but vegetable alphabet soup. Thank you. Anyway, so it is very, very important, and so we really need to fight for this, and we have legislation. Hopefully, will get raised this year.
10 minutes.
Hopefully soon.
And yeah, so
Well, it was going to be early in the legislative session, but
yeah.
it just started. They've been in session now for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I know you're eager.
Let's get on this.
Yeah, but you know, certainly last year it died. It never got out of committee. So
Even the Republicans at the national level are waiting till tomorrow.
so we'll see. But we're hopeful that we can do something this year. We don't know yet. We don't even know yet who will be on the committee.
But if you are looking for more information, the organization CT Equality, ctequality.com,
Oh yes.
has a lot of information available. The bill hasn't been raised yet, so we don't have a bill number yet.
Right.
But they have a lot of information about the bill, and as our previous caller was asking about why it's important, and personal stories from people. And we have another phone call.
We do. Okay, I'll get that in 1 second. I just want to mention that that CT Equality has some kind of a gathering on the 19th, Wednesday, January 19th, 5:30 to 7 p.m. At La Paloma Sabanera, which is in Hartford. Snacks, education, conversation, and drinks.
They've been going around the state doing these little information sessions, and they did them in New London, and she did one in Thinkin' Stores,
Yeah.
and New Haven, and now they're doing one in Hartford.
So if you're interested in that, just go to ctequality.com, and you can get some more information on that. But that's going to be on the 19th in Hartford. We have a show that night, so we may not be able to get there. But
5:30 to 7:30. How fast can we drive?
yeah, that would be tough.
Sarah?
But
Hartford's an hour away. So,
anyway,
Sarah caller.
so all right, I'm going to take this call. Good evening, NLC Trans. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I'm calling back. I don't know if I'm the guy that or the person that you were referring to that should call back, in the fact that you didn't maybe answer the question that I asked.
Oh,
But that's okay. That's
Oh,
okay. I don't care
yeah.
about that.
no, that's great.
What I'm really calling, I guess, back for in watching your show and getting, you know, more and more informative is your issues that you brought up on tonight really don't seem very important to me. I respect who you are, and I don't look for you to be somebody else, and I just think it's okay. You know, I don't know why it should be a question, and I guess that's my question, in that I don't really understand what you, or what I guess should the proper terminology be, group is trying to set forth, because I think that you're very acceptable. I am retired now, but when I worked, I really didn't care what anybody was. in any way, shape, or form. And I respect that very much. So I find it difficult at times to accept. Well, what are you trying to do? You know, and I understand what you talked about, employment situations where you work alongside someone and they all of a sudden they realize or they don't realize or whatever the case may be. I understand that, but there's a lot of us out here that don't care. I mean,
you know, and you're absolutely right.
Do what you are, do what you need to be, and by golly, that's all right. I mean, I don't know why it would be wrong. You know.
Well, and so, it's nice.
So I'll hang up and let you respond. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it's wonderful that he's
accepting and supportive,
and that's great.
There's far and few in between.
And honestly, most people are very accepting.
Yes.
Particularly in this part of the state.
And I'm glad. I really am glad. I'm glad for people like this that accept us and that don't. But not everybody does.
Well, and I'm glad, honestly, that he has a hard time understanding how mean a lot of people out there can be.
Yeah.
You know, the reality is unfortunately not as rosy. You know, most people out there aren't like our previous, I can't say most, but there are a lot of people out there not like our previous caller. There are a lot of people out there for whom our existence is a really big problem, and they fight against us.
Yeah.
And they are the reason we need the legal protections.
Right. It's that question of setting the legal baseline and saying you can't be thrown out of your apartment because you're trans isn't because everybody out there, because every landlord out there is doing this. It's because there are a few landlords out there that are doing it, and it's wrong.
I know, as far as myself, as far as where I'm living, I have had no problem whatsoever. They've been very, very acceptable, and the people in the whole complex.
And for the most part, most of the time, you know, honestly, the vast majority of the time, we don't really see the problem. But it only takes once. It only takes. You know, and especially like in the workplace or something, it only takes one person.
Yeah, you know, you lose your job because you get a boss that doesn't approve of you. And if you, I mean, it's a tough employment market for everyone right now. You know, if you lose your job and your sole source income, you lose your house, you lose your credit, you lose a lot because somebody was transphobic and fired you for non-merit reasons.
Yeah.
And right now in Connecticut, we don't have any meaningful recourse to that.
Yeah. And certainly for the most part, most people are very accepting, and I'm really grateful for that. That the vast majority of people are really very good.
The vast majority of people are. However, unfortunately, the small minority of people who are not have caused severe havoc and are very vocal and have caused severe havoc with our community. We've had a lot of people who have lost their jobs, their house has gone homeless,
been run out of neighborhoods, and as far as trying, you know, they're on the other side trying to put forward legislation that says no, you can't. We shouldn't be allowed to use public restrooms. We shouldn't be allowed in public schools in any capacity because we might corrupt children. And for most of the people that are out there, probably all of our viewers, it seems absurd. But these are the arguments. That is the kind of vitriol that gets flung our way.
Right, and I really do think that 95% of our audience is just like our caller. And why would that ever be a problem?
Why would it ever? Yeah.
But as you've said, those few who aren't like that are noisy.
Yeah. And it is hard to see. I understand the caller. It's hard to see it when you're.
We like New London County. It's a
it's a great place.
I don't want to live
It
anywhere
is
else.
hard to see it, and until you've been, you know, it's the walk a mile in my shoes. Until you've been here for a while and seen what, because for the most part you don't even see it. But just once in a while you'll pick up on something, and things happen, and it's not always that easy to see from the outside, but it's there. It really is.
Most people that have those prejudices, that suffer those stereotypes, are smart enough to not be overt about their discrimination.
Yeah, true. So it is very important. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's just under 50% of trans folk have either lost their job or been denied promotions.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. And as a trans person, try to get a job.
And that's not the only reason, of course, that you might lose a job or be denied a promotion. There are plenty of other unjust reasons. And in reality is, we think they all ought to go away. But this is the one we're fighting for right now. And the coalition of groups that are backing it are wide and varied, and we'll have an opportunity to help support them in their causes down the road as well.
Yeah, true. So it is important, and this year we are going to fight very hard for this. So anyway, so we're going to talk a lot about that in the upcoming weeks and months leading up to this legislation. We're going to certainly be involved. You know, I certainly intend to testify before Congress this year, and we're going to try to make it happen this year. It's certainly important. We've been trying to get this for quite a few years now, and we'd love to see it pass in 2011. So hopefully we can do that. And we will certainly be talking about that. We're going to get Diana on here. Diana Lombardi is a friend.
Maybe next week we'll have time for the B-roll.
And yes, and we'll get to the B-roll next week, hopefully.
B-roll.
But we are like just about out of time, so
yeah, we're in our
surprise.
last 30 seconds.
This happens a lot. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and
great to be back.
Yeah, it is wonderful to be back, and Happy New Year, and we will see you all next week. Night.
Ask me why I dress this way. A crazy drag queen, well perhaps you're gay. Is there a point to all these fancy clothes? With all these buckles from your head down to your toes. It's very simple, but I'm just another girl. It's not so easy, but I'm giving it a whirl. Is there something that you're trying to prove? With all the makeup and the way you move, are you looking for some sympathy? No, I'm trying to be the best girl